OpenAI just posted their position on the New York Times lawsuit against them. Let's take a look at what they're saying, but here's the headline. The New York Times is not telling the full story. They're not saying that this newspaper, the New York Times, is lying, but, so here's that complaint. So the New York Times company is suing everybody, Microsoft, OpenAI, everything under the OpenAI umbrella. And they start with independent journalism is vital to our democracy, which is true. Honest journalism is incredibly, it's vital to democracy. And I kind of wish we would have that. And in this complaint, they provide examples of what they call copyright infringement by ChatGPT. They show proof that ChatGPT will replicate in full stories that were written by the New York Times. Now, I covered that in a different video 9 days ago about the New York Times and the OpenAI lawsuit. By the way, this thumbnail does the reference to that lawyer that had a filter that made him look like a kitten. So he showed up on a Zoom call in 2020 to like an actual lawsuit and he couldn't turn the filter off. So he's saying there like, I'm a lawyer, I'm not a cat.
I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
I can see that.
Just in case you didn't understand what that was referencing to. So, but anyways, in that video, we went through line by line all the allegations, all the prompt that New York Times used to, or allegedly used to try to get that information out of ChatGPT. And I was not able to verify it. And what became quickly apparent, and so I've been using ChatGPT since it was released. I've been doing a lot of videos. I have videos going back a year plus or whatever. Immediately, it was obvious that what they were showing here wasn't the right format. That's not how ChatGPT answers those types of questions because it has sort of different formats for how it answers different types of questions. And this wasn't it. Something here just wasn't adding up. Now, I kind of speculate about what they could be doing to try to kind of fake these results. I don't know exactly what they did, but this just doesn't look real. This is fake news, And a lot of people in the comments to that video, they agree. They said, yeah, it looks like it's just posting the verbatim, the text that was pasted in earlier. So they tried to pull a swift one and strengthen their case. Looks like somebody liked the reference to the lawyer cat. It may be the funniest video of all time, perhaps. But anyways, I apologize for doing my little victory lap, but sometimes you see something and you think you're right, but you're never quite sure. So it's just excellent to see, number one, other people watching this channel share their experience and see where maybe I'm right and they're seeing the same thing. Maybe I'm wrong and tell me why I'm wrong. Like I really, really appreciate that. But also today, OpenAI says this. The New York Times, it seems they intentionally manipulated prompts, often including lengthy excerpts of articles in order to get our model to regurgitate. Even when using such prompts, our models don't typically behave the way New York Times insinuates, which suggests that either they instructed the model to regurgitate or cherry-pick their examples from many attempts. They go on to say that we regard the New York Times lawsuit to be without merit. And as happy as I am that OpenAI figured out what the shenanigans was, how they were able to manipulate and trick ChatGPT to provide that information, like I'm glad that the truth prevailed, but at the same time, there is this kind of dark feeling that, the New York Times, that's supposed to be this respected news source, a source of truth. That's what, in the perfect world, we're supposed to look to find out what's happening in the world. Instead, they're using their lawyers to fake evidence that they submit to the justice system of the United States. And I don't know if it's political or just financial. They just want to try to get some money out of OpenAI, or is it a little bit of both? But it is very troubling. It is very sad. The people that watch this channel are fairly global. I believe, and I'm sure a lot of you believe, that AI can bring a lot of benefit to the world in general. So the fact that this American company that maybe, in the past has done some good work, but now it seems like he's just trying to damage AI. They've asked for GPT-4 to be deleted. So here's the part I had a hard time finding it. This is towards the end of this document. So they're asking, the Times demand judgments against the defendants, so that's Microsoft and OpenAI, ordering the destruction of all GPT or other LLM models and training sets that incorporate Times works. Like this to me is just absolutely incredible. And this is why it almost seems like this is political. Like there's something about OpenAI about AI, about these large language models that they're trying to destroy, not because they actually think that it's infringing on their copyrights. This is The Economist. They're saying, when the New York Times lost its way, America's media should do more to equip readers to think for themselves. This was December 14th, 2023. So that all of that is to say that this isn't like a left and right thing. This is more, is it okay for large news publications that are trusted by many people to push their own agenda by lying, by not telling the full story? Is that okay? Can that continue to happen and everything's fine? Nothing bad will come out of this? I think, to me, whatever side of the aisle you're on, some of this stuff should be scary. Newspapers feel that they no longer have any responsibility to be truthful. Another interesting viewpoint on this is, so this is Jan LeCun, who is a proponent of open source AI, and he's posting something that was written by the venture capital firm, VC firm, Andreessen Horowitz, also known as A16Z. We've talked about it a few times here. They're very much tech forward. Can't find the particular piece. There's Business Insider has written about it, but it didn't, as far as I can tell, nowhere in here does it link to the piece. The point of the original, at least how I'm interpreting it, the main point in there was the claim is that these models store these articles, these books inside its data banks, its memory or whatever. And the reality is that that's not accurate. The reality is when you train the model on a bunch of text, you can think of it as it sort of draws certain statistical connections between the words to be able to replicate how humans talk, how we sort of encode certain information. That is not subject to copyright protection. If you have a book that's copyright protected and I publish all of the text in its entirety, that would be breach of the copyright law. If I said that your book has 10,000 words in it, that is not. You can't copyright that statistic, even though it is about your book. So I think that's the battle that is being fought right now. And I think at the center of it is people not really understanding what these neural nets do. We understand computers, right? When you save a file on the computer, that file with the text, it's there. If you feed text through a large language model, it's not there. It's not saved. At the end of the day, it's like a big CSV file that shows all the different connection between the neurons of the model. And based on that, it can sort of predict the next word. If you start a sentence, it can predict how that sentence ends. And it's doing that based on the sort of statistical connection between all the words of the text that you fed into it. And the thing that we're seeing with a lot of these lawsuits, both against Meta by, I think Sarah Silverman was the one that's alleging that it stole her book. And I think the claim was similar. They're saying that the Llama model contains copies of her books in it, and that therefore the whole thing is a copyright infringement. Therefore their whole thing needs to be deleted. New York Times is kind of doing the same thing. And the goal always seems to be, hey, just delete this thing, right? It's not even just give us some money, it's delete the whole thing. So that's a little bit concerning because I feel like things like this can do a lot of wonders for the world. Automation, drug discovery, robots. There's a lot of benefits to developing this technology, not just for any particular country, for the world as a whole. But this disruptive technology might kill off a few legacy players, people that may have mattered in the past, but will not matter as much if everyone has access to this technology. And I think there's a bit of a fight against that to try to take it down, to try to prevent that progress so that the people that own those assets, so that they can continue to generate money and be fabulously wealthy and retain the influence and control that they are used to. Now, I'll get off my soapbox, but please be on the lookout for this. This isn't the first attack, and this is not going to be the last. In this article by OpenAI, really fast, I'll link it down below if you want to read it. There's a couple other points that they make. One is they are starting to collaborate with other news organizations and license their content for training. Some people are saying, well, it's not a lot, so 1 to 5 million annually to license their news article for use in training. People are saying, well, that's not enough, but they're not rewriting, they're not publishing those articles. So it's not like people will able to go elsewhere to get those articles. They're using it for training to improve the language model. So to me, it seems like it should be priced based on that. If they were republishing it and making money from it, yeah, it would make sense to charge a lot more. If it's not affecting your readership in any way, it's just extra 5 million a year to help improve this language model. I don't see what the issue is. Again, they need to be able to negotiate their own prices, etc. Two, they're saying training is fair use. And this is what, again, a lot of this is about. Like, is training fair use? It seems to me, if you understand how these models are trained, if you understand what they're doing, it is fair use because they're not storing it. They're just extracting some statistics about it. Me saying Harry Potter had 1 million letters in that book and 5% of those letters were the letter A, that's not copyright infringement. And they're saying they can opt out if they need to. I think people might argue that point because it sounds like, because maybe some of this was done before anybody knew what large language models were, but and then the regurgitation is a rare bug that they're working to drive to zero. Again, if it's a bug, if it's an error that they're trying to decrease, and if it's not intentional, that also has to be taken into account. And the fourth and final point, like we discussed, is that the New York Times is not telling the full story. It seemed like they were progressing constructively through their negotiations, focusing on a high-value partnership with attribution to New York Times, and this would give the New York Times a new way to connect with their existing and new readers. But it sounds like the New York Times decided to go through the courts, which OpenAI learned about it reading in the New York Times, which is a little bit strange because the New York Times, they have a podcast about this stuff. They have news about this stuff, right? So they're kind of creating their own news and discussing the news that they're creating. Do they show both sides of the story? Will they highlight OpenAI's answer to what they're doing? We'll see. Stay tuned. But between you and me, I don't think they will. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. My name is Wes Roth, and I'll see you next time.